At the beginning of the drama, we see a boy, Bong Seok, who is in space and flying there. But suddenly, he starts falling and enters Earth's atmosphere. Someone is calling his name there. He thinks, "Who is calling my name?" Just then, he starts falling again and lands back in his house. Along with this, his eyes open, and he sees that he was dreaming. Bong Seok thinks, "I had the same dream again today." Here, we notice one thing. The blanket that Bong Seok was sleeping under was fixed to the side of the bed. Bong Seok's mom was making breakfast. Smelling it, Bong Seok became very happy because it was his favorite dish. On the other hand, we see Hui Soo, who was getting late for school. Her dad says, "You will need a new uniform for this school." Hui Soo says, "I will talk to the teacher. If they agree, I will wear this dress." Then she leaves from there. Meanwhile, Bong Seok was also getting ready to go to school. His mom made him eat a lot of breakfast so that his weight would increase and he wouldn't be able to fly. Actually, Bong Seok had the power to fly, but his mom didn't want him to fly, and she didn't want anyone to know about his power. Bong Seok's mom put a lot of weight in his bag. She did all this so that due to the extra weight, Bong Seok wouldn't be able to fly. After Bong Seok left, his mom started watching accident-related news on her phone. Meanwhile, Bong Seok was going by bus. Just then, he noticed Hui Soo, who was heading towards the bus. When the bus stopped at the bus stop, Hui Soo boarded the bus, but there was no money on her card. The bus driver said to Hui Soo, "This happens with you every day." Then Bong Seok stepped forward and paid for Hui Soo's fare. Then Hui Soo was sitting on the seat, and Bong Seok was standing near her. So Hui Soo, to help him, held his lunchbox. When she held the lunchbox, it was very heavy. Seeing this, Hui Soo was very surprised. Then Hui Soo was listening to music, and Bong Seok started looking at her, which caused his heartbeat to speed up. Just then, his feet began to lift off the ground. Bong Seok tried hard to bring them down, but just then, a speed breaker came in the way. Since Bong Seok's feet were in the air, he collided with the window. In the next scene, the school gate was about to close, so all the students ran inside. But due to the extra weight, Bong Seok couldn't get in. So, he was punished by being assigned to clean the toilet. Then, we see a boy named Gang Hyuk, who was very popular in class. Then Hui Soo talks to her teacher, Choi, about a scholarship, and the teacher says to her, "You are average in studies, but you are good in sports. You can get a scholarship because of sports." Then the teacher brings Hui Soo to the class. Actually, Hui Soo had transferred from another school, and now she was in Bong Seok's class. When the class starts, Bong Seok keeps looking at Hui Soo. And just then, his heartbeat speeds up, causing his feet to lift off the ground. So, Bong Seok holds onto the table and tries to control himself. On the other hand, we see a man who had just arrived from somewhere. As soon as he comes out of the airport, he finds a van. When he goes near it and opens its door, there are some clothes and packets inside. When he changes his clothes, we see an F mark on his body. This man's name is Frank. Then Frank finds a mobile phone there, on which a message has arrived with the number 11 written in it. When he opens the packet with the number 11, there is a photo of someone inside, someone he has to kill. Meanwhile, at school, it's break time, and all the kids go outside except for Hui Soo, Gang Hyuk, and Bong Seok. Gang Hyuk says to Hui Soo, "Come, I'll show you the auditorium." Saying this, he takes Hui Soo with him. Bong Seok is left behind in the classroom, still trying to get back to normal. After showing Hui Soo the auditorium, Gang Hyuk meets teacher Choi and asks him, "Does Hui Soo have powers like mine?" Mr. Choi replies, "Yes, and from now on, we need to keep an eye on her." Then Bong Seok goes to the bathroom to complete his punishment and feels happy seeing that the bathroom is already clean. Meanwhile, Hui Soo is practicing sports. Just then, she remembers something. Someone was attacking her. On the other hand, Frank goes to his first target and kills them. Then, after coming outside, he messages the same number. Deleted. As Bong Seok finishes his work and comes outside, he sees Hui Soo. Seeing her, Bong Seok feels happy, and his feet start lifting off the ground again. So he asks Hui Soo to let him hold her bag. Hui Soo gives him her bag, which makes his feet return to the ground. Then Hui Soo goes to an academy where exam preparation is done. Seeing the fees there, she becomes very worried. Meanwhile, when Bong Seok reaches home, he asks his mom to increase the weight of his bag even more. On the other hand, Hui Soo also goes home. She doesn't tell her dad about the fees, only asks for money for a new school uniform. Then Bong Seok's mom sees a post on her phone about the death of that man, where she notices the killer's van. In the next scene, we see the director of the National Security Agency. His assistant comes and informs him about the person's death and also tells him that the posts about this on social media have been deleted as well. Meanwhile, Bong Seok's mom folds her normal-looking table and a gun comes out from inside it. She's cleaning it. Then we are shown a flashback. When Bong Seok was little, his mom was carrying him along with some bags. After walking for a while, when she gets tired, she goes into a restaurant with Bong Seok. There, while eating, Bong Seok becomes very happy, causing his chair to start floating in the air. So his mom stops his chair with her feet. Then they both go to a place where his mom buys a property and gives the owner 3 years' rent in advance, saying, "Now you won't come here for 3 years." Then she teaches Bong Seok how to walk in that place. But Bong Seok kept floating in the air repeatedly. Here, we learn that whenever Bong Seok is happy, he starts flying. Then the flashback ends, and Bong Seok gets on the bus. He's talking to the bus driver, who asks him, "Are you waiting for the girl from yesterday?" Hearing this, Bong Seok gets shy. Then he sees Hui Soo, who is wearing a raincoat and running towards the school. The school gate was about to close. Just as Bong Seok reaches the gate, Hui Soo also arrives, and they collide with each other. Due to the extra weight, Bong Seok falls, injuring his arm. Then they both enter the school, where they notice the guard, who is looking directly at them. On the other hand, Frank goes to a bookstore and kills his second target there. He finds a photo in which the man he just killed and his son are present. The son's face in the photo gets burned, so Frank is unable to see it. Then he takes the photo and leaves from there. Meanwhile, Hui Soo smells sweat on herself, so she borrows Bong Seok's extra uniform and goes to take a shower. Gang Hun follows her and sees that another boy, Gi Soo, was also going after Hui Soo. Gang Hun stops Gi Soo and asks, "Why are you following Hui Soo?" Gi Soo does not answer and instead challenges him to a fight. This makes Gang Hun angry, and then the two fight, where Gang Hun uses his power to severely beat Gi Soo. After class, Hui Soo asks Bong Seok to come with her to the uniform store because she needed to buy a new uniform. So Bong Seok goes with her. Gang Hun overhears their conversation. Then Bong Seok and Hui Soo go to a shop and buy the uniform. After that, Hui Soo tells Bong Seok about her mom. "When I was little, my mom passed away." Then Hui Soo and Bong Seok go to have lunch together. Meanwhile, Frank reads the name of a school on the burned photo. It is the same school where Bong Seok and Hui Soo study. Just then, a message arrives on his phone instructing him to kill Target 3. On the other hand, Bong Seok and Hui Soo buy some food from a supermarket. Hui Soo notices the injury mark on Bong Seok's arm, so she also gets a bandage for him. Then they eat their food, and at that moment they see Gi Soo, who looks like he has been severely beaten. After eating, they return to class, where Gang Hun says to them, "You both skipped class." To this, Hui Soo replies, "It was a free period." After class ends, they go to clean the toilet. Bong Seok is cleaning the toilet while listening to music through his headphones. Just then, Hui Soo comes to him and calls him, but he does not hear her. So Hui Soo starts applying a bandage on his arm, which causes Bong Seok's feet to lift off the ground. He struggles hard to control himself. Then, after applying the bandage, Hui Soo leaves, and Bong Seok floats entirely into the air. Meanwhile, Gang Hun reaches home at his fixed time, where his dad is waiting for him as usual. The next day, Bong Seok is going to school by bus and once again sees Hui Soo running towards school. But when he reaches school, he is late as always and gets punished by being assigned to clean the toilet. In class, Teacher Choi asks about Gi Soo because he has not come to school today, but no one knows anything. Then the teacher sends Hui Soo for sports practice. Meanwhile, after finishing his punishment, Bong Seok notices that Hui Soo is struggling to practice because of the darkness, so he turns on the lights for her. Later, when Bong Seok reaches home, he tries to sneak inside quietly because he was late, but his mom sees him. So, Bong Seok says, "I was helping a friend. That's why I got late." His mom says, "If you are late next time, at least call me." Then she tells him to check his weight. When Bong Seok checks his weight, he sees that it has decreased, which is why he has been floating more in the air. On the other hand, Frank is circling outside Bong Seok's school. This is because he suspects that the son of the man he killed has a connection to this school. The watchman asks him, "What do you need?" Frank says nothing and leaves from there. The watchman finds this suspicious and calls someone to inform them about it. The next day, Hui Soo is practicing sports. After finishing practice, when she goes for lunch, she sees that all the food is already gone. Just then, Bong Seok calls her over and gives her food from his plate. Meanwhile, Teacher Choi calls Gang Hun and says, "Turn on all the fans in the auditorium because when they were turned on earlier, dust was coming out of them." Gang Hun goes to turn on the fans. While he is doing that, Hui Soo arrives, and Gang Hun notices her. Hui Soo thinks no one is there, so she starts changing her clothes. Gang Hoon sees her and immediately crouches down. Now he couldn't leave either because if he did, Hui Soo would see him and misunderstand. So, Gang Hoon stays hidden and watches Hui Soo practicing. While practicing, Hui Soo falls. Just then, Bong Seok arrives and, seeing her falling, flies over to her immediately. Gang Hoon sees all of this. Hui Soo is shocked, wondering how Bong Seok suddenly reached her so fast. Bong Seok asks her, "Are you okay?" She replies, "Yes, I'm fine." Then, in one of the exercises, Hui Soo takes Bong Seok's help. Bong Seok assists her, but suddenly he starts floating. He tries hard to control himself, but he fails and falls far away. Hui Soo goes to him, but she doesn't understand what's happening. She's about to ask Bong Seok, but just then, the cleaning lady arrives. So, Bong Seok makes an excuse and leaves. Then Hui Soo also leaves. After they're gone, Gang Hoon comes out. He had seen everything. The next day, while practicing, Hui Soo remembers Bong Seok floating and falling. Later, when she enters the classroom, she asks Bong Seok to come eat something with her. They go to a store and buy food. Then Hui Soo says, "I left my shoes in the classroom." Bong Seok says, "No problem, I'll go get them." Then he leaves to get the shoes. Hui Soo had done this on purpose to find out whether Bong Seok walks normally or flies. She follows his shoe prints, but at one point, the footprints disappear. So Hui Soo suspects that Bong Seok must have flown. Just then, Bong Seok returns with her shoes. He is also holding his own shoes in his hand. Hui Soo asks, "Why are you holding your shoes in your hand?" Bong Seok replies, "My shoes were dirty, and they were making the floor dirty, so I took them off and carried them." Then they sit together. While Bong Seok is taking something out of his bag, Hui Soo notices his bandage and starts fixing it. This makes Bong Seok's heartbeat speed up, and he suddenly floats into the air. Seeing him rise, Hui Soo is completely shocked. Bong Seok asks for her help, saying, "I can't control this." Then he asks Hui Soo to give him his bag. Hui Soo tries to lift his bag but is unable to. So she climbs up the stairs and jumps onto Bong Seok, causing them both to fall to the ground together. Even after falling, Bong Seok is unable to control himself. So Hui Soo hugs him, but this makes him float even more. Hui Soo keeps trying to control him. Then we see a camera placed there. It is recording everything. Hui Soo then takes Bong Seok outside. There, the watchman is watching them, and it seems like he has already seen everything on the security cameras. Then Hui Soo takes Bong Seok to his house. Bong Seok's mom sees Hui Soo and assumes that she is Bong Seok's girlfriend. She becomes very happy. Hen, Bong Seok's mom, brings food for both of them. Seeing so much food, Hui Soo says to Bong Seok, "This is too much food." Bong Seok replies, "I eat this much every day." Meanwhile, Frank goes to kill his target number 3, who is a woman. When he tries to kill her, she fights back and even shoots at him. Here we discover Frank's superpower. His wounds heal instantly. Frank asks the woman about her children, but she doesn't tell him anything. So Frank says, "Why aren't you people telling me about your children?" Then he kills her and says, "Now I will meet your children at your funeral." On the other hand, Bong Seok and Hui Soo are eating at Bong Seok's mom's restaurant. Just then, some customers arrive. So Bong Seok takes Hui Soo inside the house and shows her his room. Hui Soo notices that even the ceiling of Bong Seok's room is covered with mats so that if he floats, he doesn't get hurt. Bong Seok tells her, "When I feel happy, I start floating in the air. Everything was fine for a few years, but recently, I don't know why I've been floating more. I try very hard to control it, but sometimes I just can't." Hearing this, Hui Soo understands and steps closer to Bong Seok, asking, "Do you feel better when I'm near you? Do you like me?" The moment Bong Seok hears this, he floats into the air again. Then he comes back down to normal and asks Hui Soo, "Even though I'm so weird, weren't you shocked?" Hui Soo replies, "No, you're not weird. You're special." Then we see Bong Seok's mom, who has very strong senses. She was listening to their entire conversation from the kitchen. Later, as Bong Seok walks Hui Soo to the bus stop, Hui Soo sends him back, saying, "I'll just run to the bus stop." When Bong Seok returns home, his mom asks, "Why did you let your girlfriend go alone?" Bong Seok replies, "She's my friend." His mom says, "But you like her, and maybe she likes you too. You shouldn't have sent her alone like that." Hearing this, Bong Seok quickly puts on a raincoat and follows Hui Soo, watching her from a distance. Here, we discover another one of Bong Seok's powers. He can see things from very far away. Then he removes the weight from his feet and takes long leaps to reach Hui Soo. Hui Soo is also happy to see him. Bong Seok says, "I came to walk you to the bus stop." Meanwhile, Hui Soo's dad goes to deliver chicken at the same store where Frank was just leaving after killing the woman. Hui Soo's dad meets Frank and gives him his restaurant's card, inviting him to come and try their chicken. After that, he delivers chicken at another spot in the store. The next day, Bong Seok gets ready to go to school. Actually, it's a school holiday, but Hui Soo is coming to school for practice, so Bong Seok goes to help her. After he leaves, his mom sees the news about the woman's death on her phone. Later, Bong Seok and Hui Soo arrive at the auditorium. Bong Seok says, "Keep my secret to yourself, don't tell anyone else." Hui Soo replies, "I will tell you my secret too, and then we will both keep each other's secrets." Bong Seok asks, "What's your secret?" Hui Soo says, "I never get hurt. In my previous school, I got into a fight with some girls. I beat them all up. They got seriously injured, but I didn't get hurt at all. And because of that, I was expelled from school." After that, Hui Soo talks about her family. She says, "When I was little, my mom passed away. After that, my dad and I never stayed in one place for more than 3 years. We kept moving from place to place. Sometimes when I looked at my dad, I felt like he was running away from someone. Then one day, my dad decided to settle down somewhere. At that school, some bully girls used to harass another girl. At first, I ignored them for a long time. But one day, when they were tormenting her too much, I couldn't hold back, and we got into a fight. They got severely injured, but I didn't get hurt at all. My dad paid for all the students' hospital bills, and because of that, I felt really bad for him. This situation drained all of his savings as well. Then we moved here." On the other hand, Hui Soo's dad goes to the store to collect the payment for the late-night delivery. That's when he finds out about the woman's death. He notices that the security cameras there had been destroyed. Meanwhile, Bong Seok's mom is using her senses to investigate the situation. Just then, she sees Hui Soo's dad leaving the area. Next, we see the director. His assistant arrives and reports. The details of the woman's murder have been altered, and the social media posts about it have also been deleted. From their conversation, we learn that the 3 people Frank killed were all retired secret agents, each possessing some kind of superpower. The director suspects that the US has sent someone to eliminate them, but they have no proof. Then Frank attends the woman's funeral and inquires about her children. A boy tells him she adopted many children. She had a biological daughter too, but she passed away when she was in 10th grade. A woman nearby is also overhearing their conversation. Next, we see a man named Ray Hyok, who is the principal of Jungwon High School. He goes to meet the director. He keeps an eye on children like Bong Seok and Hui Soo. He tells the director, "Keep the files of these special children in a secure place. If they get leaked, things will become very complicated." Then we see that Hui Soo's dad also has a file there. Meanwhile, Hui Soo's dad is watching the news about the woman's death on TV. The news is reporting it as a robbery case. Then we see Bong Seok's school bus driver. The man Frank killed as his second target was his father. His name is Gai-do. And like his father, he also has powers. He can generate electricity and, by touching objects, see their memories. Gai-do picks up an item from his father's shop and sees a memory of how his father was killed. Meanwhile, Frank is thinking about the woman, how she had adopted many children. This thought makes him feel a bit guilty. He strikes his hand with an object, but his wound heals instantly. In the next scene, Bong Seok's mom is adding more weight to his bag while saying, "Hui Soo has learned the truth about you. No one else should find out now." Bong Seok is not happy about this. During lunch, Bong Seok is visibly sad. Hui Soo asks him, "Why do you look so sad?" Before Bong Seok can say anything, some other students join them at the table. Meanwhile, Gang Hoon is sitting alone and eating. Just then, the same boy, Gi Soo, the one Gang Hoon had beaten up before, walks up to him and dumps his leftover food onto Gang Hoon's plate. He says, "You're angry, aren't you? Go ahead, hit me just like that day when you beat me up. Everyone else is watching them." Gi Soo keeps provoking Gang Hoon, but instead of reacting, Gang Hoon leaves his plate and walks away. Teacher Choi also learns about this incident. Later, Hui Soo meets Gang Hoon and tells him, "You did the right thing by staying calm. Violence is never the solution. It took me a long time to realize that." Hearing all this, the director orders to summon the US consular. Then, we see Frank receiving an order to eliminate his next target. When he opens the file, it is revealed that his next target is Bong Seok's mom, Mi Hyun. Meanwhile, after finishing his work, Bong Seok meets Hui Soo because she had his phone. Hui Soo hands it to him and says, "Its battery is dead." Seeing this, Bong Seok immediately runs off saying, "My mom will call me. If the call doesn't go through, she'll get worried." Bong Seok quickly boards the bus. On the other hand, Hui Soo goes home, where her dad gives her a new phone and says, "If you ever have any trouble, call me." Meanwhile, US Consular Mark meets with the director. the director tells Mark, I know you're a CIA agent on a secret mission. At that moment, Bong Seok's mom is working in her restaurant. Just then, Frank arrives and she asks him to sit and takes his order. When she goes to the kitchen, she messages Bong Seok, don't come home right now. The director then tells Mark, I know about Frank, and instructs him to end this mission. On the other hand, Bong Seok arrives home. Since his phone was dead, he didn't see his mom's message. When he enters the restaurant, his mom treats him like a customer and seats him at a table. Frank asks Bong Seok about his school, and Bong Seok casually tells him about it. In the kitchen, Bong Seok's mom retrieves a gun from under the table and keeps it close. Just then, Frank receives a message from Mark, do nothing for now. So Frank leaves money on the table for the food and walks out. After Frank leaves, Bong Seok's mom scolds him, asking, why didn't you reply to my message? Bong Seok replies, my phone battery was dead. His mom gets angry at this, and Bong Seok leaves without eating. Outside, Frank asks Mark about the next target. Mark informs him that the new target is Hui Soo's dad. As Frank leaves, Guy-do spots him. He empties the bus of passengers and follows Frank. Eventually, Guy-do attacks Frank, but Frank dodges him. Frank asks, who are you? Guy-do responds, you killed my dad. Frank could have killed him but chooses not to and walks away. Later, Frank arrives at Hui Soo's dad's restaurant and learns that he is out for a delivery. Frank reads the address where he went and starts following him. On the road, Frank causes an accident, attempting to kill Hui Soo's dad. However, when he stops his car, Hui Soo's dad emerges from underneath the vehicle, and they engage in a fight. Here, we discover that Hui Soo's dad also has a power. His wounds heal rapidly. Eventually, he sets Frank's car on fire and leaves. The next day, Bong Seok's mom gives him a power bank and says, keep your phone charged at all times and come straight home after class. There's no need to stop anywhere. At school, Hui Soo asks Bong Seok to come to the auditorium after classes, but Bong Seok refuses and goes straight home. Days pass, and Bong Seok and Hui Soo stop talking to each other at school. Their exams are approaching. The night before the exam, Hui Soo messages Bong Seok, all the best for the exam. Seeing this, Bong Seok feels very happy. Then Hui Soo sends another message, turn off the lights before sleeping. Seeing this, Bong Seok looks out his window and using his power spots Hui Soo standing far away. He then goes to meet her. He asks Hui Soo, why weren't you talking to me? Hui Soo replies, I thought you were busy preparing for the exams, so I didn't want to disturb you. Then Hui Soo places a heavy stone in Bong Seok's lap and says, I'm about to tell you something, and I don't want you to float away after hearing it. Bong Seok asks, what thing? Then Hui Soo says, I was missing you a lot. Bong Seok says, I was also missing you a lot. In the next scene, we are shown that Bong Seok's exams were over, and Hui Soo was practicing her sports. There, a girl was recording everything on her mobile. While Hui Soo was practicing, a board was about to fall on her. Bong Seok was about to fly to save her, but due to the weights on his legs, he fell. Gang Hun rushed at high speed and saved Hui Soo. That girl recorded all of this and uploaded it on social media. Soon, the video went viral. Bong Seok's mom also saw this video, and Hui Soo's dad also saw this video. Over there, the director was informed that this video had also been deleted. Then, when Bong Seok was going home, he was very sad that he couldn't use his power to save Hui Soo. Then he started flying and flew forward. Then his eyes fell on his mom, and he came down. His mom asked, what are you doing? And why aren't you wearing the weights? Then Bong Seok said, from now on, I won't wear weights. His mom asked, why? Bong Seok didn't say anything. When his mom kept asking repeatedly, Bong Seok said, today, I could have flown and saved Hui Soo, but because of too much weight, I couldn't fly. That's why from now on, I won't wear weights. From now on, I won't listen to you. Hearing this, his mom shouted, so do you want to become like your dad? Hearing this, Bong Seok became silent. Then, we are shown a flashback where we see Bong Seok's dad, Shik, who could fly. There was some problem in an airplane, so Shik helped it. Then we find out that Shik and Bong Seok's mom, Mian, worked in the same office, the National Security Agency, where the director knew about Shik's power. Hui Soo's dad also worked with Shik. At first, Shik and Mian didn't know each other, but later, they started meeting repeatedly in the office and began to like each other. Then, one day when Mi-hyun was working in her office, Shik flew there and brought food for her. Seeing him, Mi-hyun realized that Shik could fly. Then Shik gave her the food, and she became very happy. The next day, Shik and Hui Soo's dad were doing shooting practice. Then, after finishing the shooting practice, Shik came to meet Mi-hyun. Mi Hyun tells him about her power and also says to Do Sik, now we will keep each other's secret. After this, Mi Hyun kisses Do Sik, and while kissing, Do Sik starts flying in the air. Then the director gives Do Sik a secret mission. Before going on the mission, Do Sik looks at Mi Hyun from a distance and leaves from there. After he leaves, Mi Hyun starts waiting for him. Even after many days pass, Do Sik does not return. So the director feels that Do Sik is betraying them. So he tells his workers, find Do Sik. After that, Do Sik is declared an enemy of the agency. And Mi Hyun is also put under surveillance because the director knew one day Do Sik will definitely come to meet Mi Hyun. One day, Mi Hyun is at home, and she is thinking about Do Sik. Just then, Do Sik appears at the window. Mi Hyun asks him, what are you doing here? Do Sik says, I was feeling like I was dying, so I came here. Then they both kiss each other, and the agents find out that Do Sik has come. They enter Mi Hyun's house and capture Do Sik. Then we are shown a flashback where the director tells Mi Hyun, get Do Sik caught. If you don't do this, we will fire you from your job and then you won't get a job anywhere else. And if you don't have a job, how will you get treatment for your dad who is in the hospital? In the next scene, we see many agents bringing Do Sik back to the agency. Then Hui Soo's dad, Ju Won, comes to meet Do Sik, but the agents do not let him meet him. So Do Sik tells him, don't worry, go and have coffee. When Ju Won goes to the coffee machine, he meets Mi Hyun there. And here, we find out that when the agents came to capture Do Sik had started fighting them. At that time, Mi Hyun pointed a gun at him and said, surrender. Seeing Mi Hyun like this, Do Sik was shocked, and then he surrendered himself. Then Do Sik is brought before the director. The director asks him, where did you disappear and what happened to the mission? Do Sik does not answer and instead threatens him. Should I report you to the Blue House? Actually, the mission given to him by the director was given without informing anyone. Hearing this, the director shouts, being our agent, will you betray us? Do Sik says, I am the one who was betrayed. The director laughs and says, so how does it feel to be betrayed? Do Sik says, I will handle Mi Hyun myself, and now I will live my life on my own terms. Then Do Sik takes a gun from an agent standing there and starts shooting everyone. Then he puts the gun on the director's head, breaks the window, and flies out with him. Everyone outside also gathers. Mi Hyun is standing there sadly. Then Do Sik shoots at Mi Hyun in front of everyone, but Ju Won steps forward and takes the bullet on his arms. Then Do Sik leaves with the director. Later, Ju Won is sitting somewhere, thinking about Do Sik. Then he remembers something Do Sik had said. When they were practicing shooting for the last time, Do Sik had said, if you need to save someone, shoot their arm so their life is spared. Thinking about all this, Ju Won realizes that Do Sik wanted to save Mi Hyun so that after he left, no blame would fall on her. That's why he shot Mi Hyun's arms, making everyone believe that Do Sik hated Mi Hyun, and now no accusations would be made against her. Then the agents start searching for the director, and they find him hanging from a tree. After that, the director is questioned about all this at the Blue House. The director has no answer, so he is dismissed. On the other hand, Mi Hyun's dad passes away, and she also quits this job and takes up another one. Mi Hyun really likes this job because it is exactly the kind of job she wanted. But Mi Hyun still misses Do Sik. She keeps looking up at the sky repeatedly, hoping to see Do Sik flying. Then one night, when Mi Hyun was going home from the office, she felt like someone was following her. When she turned around to look, it was Do Sik. Mi Hyun says, I used to look for you in the sky, but you came walking. Then Do Sik says, do you remember one day I told you that I wanted to show you how the world looks from above? Then he takes Mi Hyun up with him and shows her the entire view. Then we see a scene from some time later where they both get married and also have a son, whom they name Bong Seok. They were now living far away where Do Sik was farming. Both of them were very happy together. Then one day they find out that Bong Seok can fly. Upon learning this, they both become extremely worried. Do Sik puts up nets all over the house so that if Bong Seok flies, he doesn't get hurt. Then they see on the news that the director has returned to the agency. Over there, the director tells his assistant, find all of them. We will start again. Meanwhile, Bong Seok had grown up a little. One day, Bong Seok goes missing. Mi Hyun searches for him a lot, but she cannot find him. Then she informs Do Sik. So Do Sik goes looking for him in the clouds. There, he finds Bong Seok. Actually, Bong Seok had been trying to catch a butterfly, and in doing so, he had flown up into the clouds and now didn't know the way back. That's why he was crying there. When Do Sik finds him, Bong Seok hugs his dad. Then one night, while they were sleeping, Mi Hyun sensed that some people had surrounded them from all sides. She informs Do Sik about everything. Among the people who had come to capture Sik, there were also 3 individuals whom Frank had killed. Then Sik tells Mi Hyun, "I will distract them from the front. You take Bong Seok and leave from the back." Sik also tells Mi Hyun, "You must not tell anyone about Bong Seok's power. I don't want what happened to me to happen to my son. You leave here, I will find you later." Then Sik goes outside and fights them, but 3 of them had powers, so he is unable to fight them and gets captured. Meanwhile, Mi Hyun leaves with Bong Seok. Then we are told about Hui Soo's dad, Ju Won. After Sik left, Ju Won was also sent somewhere else, where he had to work on a computer. Ju Won didn't have much knowledge about computers, but he was still doing this job, though he was not happy at all. He had also gotten married. He would go to work in the morning and return home, struggling in the bus. At night, he would spend time with his wife, but none of this made him happy. Then one day, while Ju Won was working in the office, the director comes to meet him. The director offers him a job. Ju Won goes home and keeps thinking about what he should do. Then he agrees to work with the director. The director then sends him on a mission, where he has to join soldiers to find and eliminate some people. There, Ju Won goes as a soldier and along with the others completes his mission. Some soldiers die in this mission, but nothing happens to Ju Won because he had healing powers. Meanwhile, his wife sees on TV that some soldiers have died, and she becomes extremely worried. When Ju Won returns home, she hugs him upon seeing him. Then, sometime later, they have a daughter, whom they name Hui Soo. Then we are shown a scene from a few years later, where Hui Soo had now grown a little, and Ju Won was still going on missions while making the excuse of business trips in front of Hui Soo. When he left for missions, his wife and Hui Soo would say goodbye to him. One time, when Ju Won was on a mission, he gets news that his wife and daughter had an accident. He immediately rushes to the hospital, where he finds out that his daughter survived, but his wife had passed away. Hearing this, he starts crying uncontrollably. Then, at his wife's funeral, he promises her, "I will take care of Hui Soo very well." The next day, he goes to meet the director and says, "From now on, I will not go on missions because my wife has passed away and my daughter is alone at home. So now I cannot leave my daughter alone and go on missions." Hearing this, the director grants him leave for a few days and also says, "Whenever I call, you must come immediately." On the other hand, we see a man named J-Man who was going to set up a stall on the road. When he was about to set up his stall, the people there tell him, "Very soon this place is going to be demolished, so we are protesting against it. You should also join us in the protest." Hearing this, J-Man starts thinking. Just then, J-Man's wife arrives there and tells him not to do this. Then, while they are eating, J-Man talks about his son, Gang Hun. His wife says, "First, you talk very little, and second, whenever you do speak, it's only about Gang Hun." As they are talking, J-Man's watch alarm rings. J-Man does everything by setting alarms. When the alarm rings, his wife says, "The alarm has rung. Go and pick up Gang Hun from school." Then J-Man goes to pick up Gang Hun from school. Here we find out that J-Man had a power. His speed was very fast, and he could take extremely long leaps. And this power had also been transferred to Gang Hun. Then, we are shown a flashback of 3 years ago when J-Man got into a fight with someone. Because of this, the police put J-Man in jail for 3 years. And now, J-Man had returned after 3 years in prison. Then J-Man brings Gang Hun back from school. On the other hand, we see Ju Won, who was taking very good care of Hui Soo. Meanwhile, J-Man used to set alarms for every task, and he would do the task only when the alarm rang, not before. And now Gang Hun had also started following the same habit with his dad. The next day, everyone was protesting. Just then, J-Man passes by, and the people ask him to join them. J-Man was about to join, but just then, his wife arrives from somewhere and tells him not to do so. She says, "One person from our family needs to be in this protest, so I will join. If you join and the police arrest you, then you won't be able to meet your son for many years." Then J-Man's watch alarm rings. So his wife says, "The alarm is ringing, go and pick up Gang Hun from school." Then J-Man leaves to pick up Gang Hun. At night, the protesters become violent and start attacking the police. In response, the police begin arresting them. Meanwhile, J-Man is waiting for his wife. But when a long time passes and she does not return, he tells Gang Hun, "I am going to bring your mom back, and I will return before you go to sleep." Gang Hun says, "I sleep at 10 o'clock. So J-Man sets an alarm on his watch and leaves. When he reaches the protest site, he sees that the police are arresting his wife and taking her away. Seeing this, he loses control. He jumps toward the police van. The police officers try to stop him, but he fights them and reaches the van's window. His wife reminds him of Gang Hun and tells him to go back. The police also spray him with a water cannon, but it has no effect on him. he reaches the van's window again, so his wife once more says, "Think about Gang Hun." Hearing this, he calms down a little. Then his wife tells him to run away, so he jumps so high into the air that he disappears. Meanwhile, Ju Won is at home cooking when the director calls him and says, "A monster has been spotted in the market. Come quickly and capture it." Ju Won looks at Hui Soo and says, "I can't come." So the director tells him, "If you don't come, you will be fired from your job, and your house will also be taken away. So what will you do?" Hearing this, Ju Won agrees to go. Meanwhile, Jae-man is stuck in a sewer, trying to find a way out. The police also find out that he is trapped in the sewer. The director arrives there as well. Jae-man's wife pleads with the police officers, "Let me talk to my husband once. I can convince him." But the police ignore her. Then Ju Won arrives, and the police inform him about Jae-man. Ju Won goes into the sewer to capture him and starts searching for him. Meanwhile, Jae-man is trying to find a way out. Just then, Ju Won reaches him and catches him. Jae-man starts fighting him, so Ju Won fights back, and in the end, Jae-man loses and gets captured. Ju Won is taking him outside when he hears a child's voice. So Ju Won goes to save the child. Then Jae-man also arrives and helps rescue the child. When the police enter the sewer, they find Ju Won with the child. Ju Won brings the child outside, and the director says to him, "I sent you to capture the monster, and you brought this child." Ju Won replies, "He told me that he promised his son he would be home by 10 o'clock, so I let him go." Hearing this, the director becomes furious. Meanwhile, Jae-man reaches home and finds Gang Hun sitting and crying. Jae-man hugs him and also starts crying because he was late in coming back. Just then, many police officers arrive. The director and Ju Won are also with them. The director tells Ju Won, "Let the police arrest him. Anyway, what use is he to us?" Then, as they are leaving, they see that someone is attacking the police officers and throwing them outside. They assume that Jae-man must have done it. But when they go and look, they realize that it was actually Gang Hun. Seeing this, the director becomes extremely happy because he realizes that the powers of those with abilities are transferring to the next generation. Then a plan forms in his mind, and he leaves from there with a thoughtful expression. Seeing this, Ju Won starts worrying about Hui Soo and rushes home because he doesn't trust the director's intentions. He quickly packs his belongings, picks up the sleeping Hui Soo and leaves. As he departs, he destroys anything that could help the director track him. In the next scene, the director's assistant informs him, Ju Won has disappeared overnight and has left nothing behind that could be used to trace him. He even left his phone at home. Then the director says, "Why did Ju Won do this?" Just then, Ray Hyok is also present there. Ray Hyok says, he did this because of his daughter, Hui Soo, since she also has powers. Then Ray Hyok tells the director about a new project called the National Talent Development Project, where he proposes training children who have powers. Ray Hyok says, Jae-man's son, Gang Hun, has powers, and Ju Won's daughter, Hui Soo, also has powers. And I will find Do Sik's son as well. I will search for more children like them who have powers. Ray Hyok further says, we must think about the future too. In the future, these children can be of great benefit to us. Hearing all this, the director agrees. Then Ray Hyok suggests opening a school to train such children. The director grants him permission for this as well. And this is the same school where Bong Seok, Hui Soo, and Gang Hun study. After this, we see a present-day scene where Gi Soo arrives at the spot where Hui Soo was about to get hit by the board. He recalls a memory from the past. At this very place, he had once experienced a similar accident and was screaming in pain, but no one came to help him. Only one teacher had come, but even he did not help Gi Soo. Then Gang Hun arrives there and asks Gi Soo, "Did you do all this?" But Gi Soo clearly denies it. Then Gang Hun gets a call from Hui Soo asking him to meet her. When Gang Hun meets Hui Soo, she thanks him for saving her life. Then Hui Soo asks Gang Hun, "Do you have superpowers?" But Gang Hun does not tell her. During their conversation, Gang Hun tells Hui Soo, "After finishing school, I won't go to college. Instead, I will work for the government." Hui Soo asks him, "If that's the case, then why do you always study in the library?" Gang Hun replies, "Because I don't want to go home early." Then Gang Hun recalls something from 3 years ago. When he was studying at another school one day, Ray Hyok came to meet him. Ray Hyok told him, "There are still many cases against your dad." He explained, "Jae-man may be out of jail now, but he has a tracking device on his leg, so he cannot leave this place, and the police can put him back in jail at any time." Ray Hyok then told Gang Hun, "From now on, you will study at our school, and after finishing school, you will work for the government. If you do this, all the cases against your dad will be dropped." On the other side, we see Teacher Choi calling Sun-gu and asking him, "What do you have to say about the accident in the auditorium?" Sun-gu realizes that Teacher Choi is suspicious of him, so he says, "Why would I do something like that?" Just then, we see a cleaner lady outside, whose expressions seem a bit strange. Then we see Bong Seok, who is remembering the time when he told his mom, "I don't want to live like this. I want to fly." At that time, his mom had said, "Do you want to end up like your dad?" Thinking about all this, Bong Seok was feeling troubled. Meanwhile, the girl who had recorded the video tells her friends that her YouTube account has been deleted, and her camera has also been taken away. She doesn't understand why this happened. Just then, Gang Hun and Hui Soo enter the class. Shortly after, Teacher Choi also arrives. Teacher Choi informs all the students, due to the accident in the auditorium, all extra classes after school are cancelled. Then Teacher Choi calls Hui Soo and tells her, "For the next few days, there will be construction work in the auditorium, so you cannot practice there." He then gives her the address of a sports center and says, "Until then, you can train at this sports center." When Hui Soo leaves Teacher Choi's office, she sees Gi-soo standing there. He warns her to stay alert and also says, "Don't trust anyone." Hui Soo doesn't understand what he means, so she ignores his words. Then, when Hui Soo enters the class, she sees that Bong Seok is not wearing his weights. She asks him, "Why aren't you wearing your weights?" Bong Seok replies, "From now on, I won't wear weights." Hui Soo asks, "Are you doing this because of what happened in the auditorium? I saw that you wanted to save me, but you fell because of the heavy weights." Bong Seok says, "No, it's nothing like that. And now, even at home, I'm not wearing weights and I'm not having any problems. I just need to stay a little away from you." Hearing this, Hui Soo walks up to him and touches his cheeks, and Bong Seok starts floating again. Hui Soo brings him down and hands him her bag, telling him to come with her to the sports center. Bong Seok also goes with her to the sports center. As they are leaving, a man is keeping an eye on them. Meanwhile, Mi-hyun and Ju-won are also getting ready to go somewhere. Mi-hyun thinks to herself, two students in the same class having powers. It can't be just a coincidence. She was thinking about Bong Seok and Gang Hoon, but was unaware of Hui Soo. While leaving, she also takes her gun with her. On the other hand, Ju-won is thinking the same thing. Then, to check his power, he dips his hand into hot oil, but his hand heals instantly. Meanwhile, Bong Seok and Hui Soo board Gyeodu's bus to go to the sports center. The man who was watching them also gets on the bus behind them. He keeps looking at them, which makes Gyeodu suspicious of him. Then the man checks his phone, revealing that he was tracking Hui Soo. On the other side, Mi-hyun goes to Bong Seok's school to meet Teacher Choi. She calls Bong Seok and tells him that she will be late coming home. Then she asks him, "Where are you?" Bong Seok lies, saying, "I'm going home." In reality, he was going to the sports center with Hui Soo. Just then, Hui Soo also gets a call from her dad who asks, "Where are you?" Hui Soo replies, "I'm going to the sports center." Hearing this, her dad forbids her from going there and tells her to come straight home. Hui Soo says, "Okay," but in reality, she still plans to go to the sports center. Meanwhile, the security guard sees Ju-won arriving at the school, so he turns off the lights and calls someone, informing them that Mi-hyun and Ju-won have come to the school. Then Mi-hyun meets Teacher Choi and asks about the auditorium accident. Choi says, "The accident happened because the equipment was old." Then Mi-hyun asks for the name of the student who saved Hui Soo's life. Teacher Choi tells her it was Gang Hun. Mi-hyun then directly asks, "Does he have superpowers?" Choi replies, "Kids have a habit of making up stories. There's nothing like that in reality." Then Mi-hyun says, "My son was also there. He saw everything with his own eyes." She then asks, "Will this affect Bong Seok's studies in any way?" Teacher Choi says, "This won't cause any problems for Bong Seok." Then Ju-won also enters the school and meets Sun-gu. He asks him about Teacher Choi. Sun-gu says he is in his office, so Ju-won heads towards Choi's office. After he leaves, Sun-gu secretly starts watching the live CCTV footage in the principal's office. Ju-won first goes to the auditorium and looks around. There, he finds a screw lying on the floor. Then he looks at the cameras installed there. Sun-gu is also watching him. Meanwhile, Bong Seok and Hui Soo are about to get off at their bus stop when Gyeodu notices that the man who is keeping an eye on them is also getting off with them. On the other side, while talking to Choi, Mi-hyun spots a hidden camera inside a hole in the wall. She stares directly at the camera. Sun-gu, who is watching her through the footage, is shocked, wondering how she figured out the hidden camera's location. Then Sun-gu sees Ju-won approaching another camera and destroying it. Next, we see North Korean agents discussing a file. Among them is an agent whom Ju-won had previously fought. He tells the others, that file contains records of gifted individuals. Through those records, we were going to track down the children of gifted people. Just then, one of the agents receives a call from the school's cleaner lady. She says, I have unlocked the back door of the school. Meanwhile, Gai-do senses something is off. So instead of stopping the bus at Bong Seok and Hui Soo's stop, he speeds up and drives past it. He drives so fast that all the passengers start losing their balance and falling. At that moment, Gai-do notices that the man's feet were not touching the ground. He was floating in the air. Gai-do increases the speed even more, making the passengers scream. Then Gai-do suddenly stops the bus, and all the passengers begin to get off. Gai-do looks at the man through the mirror, and the man also stares back at him. Then, the man suddenly disappears. Gai-do looks back and sees that one of the bus windows was open. Probably he had escaped through it. On the other side, Mi-hyun asks Choi, how many years have you been in this school? Choi replies, for 10 years. Then we see a flashback from 10 years ago when Choi had come to meet the director. Previously, he worked for the army, but now he wanted to work for the National Intelligence Agency. The director asks him, why do you want to work with us? Choi replies, during a mission, I saw your workers, and I liked the way they operated. That's why I want to work with you. The director tells him, do you understand what it means to work with us? You will have to keep your identity a secret from everyone, even your own family. Choi says, I understand. Then the director asks, what power do you have? Choi replies, I am excellent at investigating anything. The director recruits him and explains his role. You need to find children with superpowers and train them so they can be useful to us in the future. After that, Choi joins the school as a teacher. In reality, he's there to identify and train children with superpowers. Over the years, he has found many such children. He tests them, approves the ones who pass, and rejects those who fail. He had also found Gai-do. He tested him, but at that time, although Gai-do had superpowers, he didn't know how to use them, so he failed the test. Choi assumed that Gai-do didn't have powers and disqualified him. After that, Choi had also found a girl who could see through walls. He approved her, but later she passed away due to cancer, something even Choi was unaware of. After that, Choi continued searching for more children. When he tested them, he found their powers to be unremarkable, so he rejected them. Then one day, Ray Hyok called Choi and introduced him to Sun-gu, who was also an agent like Choi. Ray Hyok said, this year, many students with superpowers will be joining this school. That's why I've brought Sun-gu to assist you. Choi responded, I don't need any help. I can take care of my students myself. To this, Ray Hyok said, they are not your students. You have been assigned a mission, and for that, you have to act like a teacher. Hearing this, Choi agreed. In the next scene, Ray Hyok gives Choi some student files, which include the names of Gang Hun, Hui Soo, and Bong Seok. Now all three had enrolled in this school. Ray Hyok tells Choi, you need to pay extra attention to Do-sik's son, Bong Seok. The flashback ends, and we see Ju-won wandering around the school while Sun-gu is watching him and Mi-hyun through the cameras. Then Ju-won arrives at Choi's office and sees Mi-hyun sitting there but doesn't say anything. He introduces himself to Choi, saying, I am Hui Soo's father. At that moment, Mi-hyun takes a phone out of her bag, calls her own number from it, and drops the phone into the trash bin before leaving. As she walks out, she quietly informs Ju-won about the hidden camera. Outside, she puts in her earphones to listen to the conversation inside. Meanwhile, in the principal's office, Sun-gu is monitoring Mi-hyun and Ju-won. Just then, someone knocks on the door. Sun-gu checks the camera and sees that it's the cleaner lady who has come for cleaning. Sun-gu tells her to come later, but she insists, I need to clean right now. The moment Sun-gu opens the door, the cleaner lady slashes his throat with a knife, killing him. On the other side, at the police station where Gai-do had stopped the bus, he tells the officers, there was an issue with the bus battery, which is why I had to drive like that. Bong Seok and Hui Soo were also there, but they leave without giving a statement because they had lied to their parents about their whereabouts. Back at the school, the cleaner lady is now watching Ju-won and Mi-hyun on the surveillance cameras. Ju-won tells Choi, I checked the auditorium, and I think someone deliberately loosened the equipment's screws. He then adds, the lady who just left, I know her. I think her son is in the same class as my daughter. Choi confirms, yes, her son's name is Bong Seok, and Hui Soo and Bong Seok are in the same class. Then Ju-won asks about Gang Hoon, the boy who saved my daughter. does he also study in their class? Choi replies, yes, he is in the same class as them. Ju-won then says, a few years ago, I saw someone with abilities like Gang Hun's. I think this is the same boy. He then thinks to himself, 3 people who had powers and knew each other. Now their children are studying in the same school, in the same class. This can't be a coincidence. Meanwhile, Gang Hun and Hui Soo were still at school. Gang Hun was studying in the study hall, while Hui Soo was searching through Choi's section in the staff room. Ju-won tells Choi, there are cameras everywhere to monitor the students, but do you know that there's also a hidden camera here? Someone is watching you as well. Hearing this, Choi is shocked and says, I didn't know about that. On the other side, the cleaner lady makes a call telling someone to enter the school. She also informs them about the exact locations of everyone currently inside the school. Meanwhile, Mi Hyeon is listening to all of this through her enhanced hearing ability. Ju-won asks Choi, who are you and why are you here? Then we see a flashback from 1996 when Ju-won went on a mission with the military to track down North Korean agents. Choi was also part of that mission, and he had witnessed how Ju-won was using his abilities to help everyone. Meanwhile, after listening to the cleaner lady's conversation, Mi Hyeon heads toward the principal's office. However, the cleaner lady sees her approaching on the security cameras. When Mi Hyeon enters, she finds the cleaner lady cleaning the office. The cleaner lady had already hidden Sun-gu's body after spotting Mi Hyeon on the cameras, but Mi Hyeon still manages to notice it. She then locks the door behind her. Outside the school, we see Han, the girl who recorded the video and had her camera confiscated. She's trying to enter the school to retrieve her camera, but the guard stops her from going inside. Meanwhile, the North Korean agents arrive at the school. Their leader instructs one of the agents, when we call, tell him to come in. The agent then knocks on the trunk of a car. After that, the agents head toward the school's back door. A heavy chain is locked on the gate, but one of the agents easily breaks it, and they all enter the school. On the other side, Bong Seok and Hui Soo arrive at the sports center, and the man following them, whose name is Junhwa, also reaches there. Junhwa also has the power to fly. After entering the sports center, Hui Soo talks about teacher Choi, saying, he doesn't show it, but he cares a lot about others. She then adds, I'm really happy that I got transferred to this school. Hui Soo prepares to start running for her warm-up, while Bong Seok steps out of the sports center to buy some snacks. Junhwa sees Bong Seok leaving and then enters the sports center, locking the door from the inside. Bong Seok goes to a nearby supermarket to buy some food, while inside the sports center, Hui Soo is running. Suddenly, Junhwa floats behind her and says, you run well. Then he asks her, how many laps have you completed? Hui Soo, surprised to see him, asks, who are you? Junhwa responds, when adults ask a question, you should answer. Hui Soo then says, I've completed 10 laps. Hearing this, Junhwa seems impressed. Then he says, I need to check something, and grabs Hui Soo, throwing her down. Hui Soo crashes onto a table. Meanwhile, Bong Seok returns and notices that the security guard who was sitting outside is missing. In reality, Junhwa had killed him. Bong Seok tries to open the door, but it won't budge. Inside, Junhwa approaches Hui Soo and says, so you can't fly? Hui Soo screams and starts attacking Junhwa, but he easily handles her. Junhwa smirks and says, you're not strong either. It seemed like he was testing Hui Soo to figure out what her special power was. Hui Soo continues trying to fight back, so Junhwa grabs her and throws her toward the wall. She crashes into it and falls to the ground. Then Junhwa notices that Hui Soo's wounds are healing instantly. Seeing this, he realizes that her ability is rapid healing. Outside, Bong Seok is still unable to open the door, but with his enhanced hearing, he can hear Hui Soo's screams. He quickly sneaks out and decides to fly inside. Inside, Junhwa says to Hui Soo, let's test your healing power. He then lifts her into the air, takes her to the center of the auditorium, and drops her. Hui Soo screams as she falls. At that moment, Bong Seok flies in, breaking through the window and catches her before she hits the ground. Seeing Bong Seok flying, Hui Soo is completely shocked. Bong Seok then lands safely. He himself cannot believe that he actually flew. Meanwhile, Mi Hyun locks the room and asks the cleaner lady, where are you from? The cleaner lady names a place, but Mi Hyun says, your accent doesn't match that region. Saying this, she turns off the lights. Without answering, the cleaner lady starts throwing objects at Mi Hyun, but Mi Hyun easily dodges them. Then, a fight breaks out between them. Mi Hyun asks, you're a North Korean, aren't you? "Then what are you doing here?" The cleaner lady refuses to answer. Just then, Mi Hyun hears footsteps approaching. She realizes that the cleaner lady is not alone. Mi Hyun grabs a vase and smashes it on the cleaner lady's head before jumping out the window to escape. She intentionally leaves visible footprints in one direction, but actually hides in the opposite direction to mislead the cleaner lady. At that moment, a North Korean agent named Jaha arrives near the cleaner lady. The cleaner lady tells him, "A superhuman's mother was here, but she escaped. She was searching for some files." Jaha then notices Sun-gu's body and asks the cleaner lady, "Why did you kill him?" "Your mission was to find the files." The cleaner lady replies, "Eliminating anyone involved is also my mission." Mi Hyun, still hiding, listens to everything. Meanwhile, Ju-won asks Choi, "Did you know about this hidden camera?" Choi replies, "I had no idea." Just then, the door opens, and two North Korean agents enter. Then we see a flashback from some time ago in North Korea. The North Korean general had summoned a soldier and shown him the video of Gang Hun and Hui Soo. The general said, "Our security department has received intelligence that South Korea is training the next generation of superhumans." He also revealed, "To gather more information on this, we have already sent a top agent into their base, and that agent is none other than the cleaner lady." The general then instructed the soldier, "Go to South Korea and join the cleaner lady agent. Your mission is to find the files that contain information about the superhumans' training." He also ordered them to kill everyone involved in the training. The flashback ends, and we see the agents inside Choi's office demanding the superhumans' files from him. Meanwhile, in the principal's office, the cleaner lady is scanning the surveillance cameras, trying to locate Mi Hyun, but she is nowhere to be seen. The cleaner lady mutters, "How long will you hide? You'll show up somewhere." Then she shifts her focus to Gi-soo on the cameras. She instructs Jae-ha, "Handle him." Jae-ha asks, "Is he involved in this too?" The cleaner lady replies, "Everyone in this school is involved. We need to eliminate them all." Jae-ha says, "No, we should first check how they were trained." Meanwhile, the cleaner lady notices that one of the cameras has suddenly become blurry. She immediately realizes that this is Mi Hyun's doing. Slowly, more cameras start going blurry. Mi Hyun is actually throwing dirt on the cameras to obscure their view. Then she uses her enhanced hearing ability to unlock the door of the school's power control room. As soon as she enters, the dirt on one of the cameras clears up, and the cleaner lady sees the door to the power room closing. Inside the power room, Mi Hyun shuts down all the lights in the school, plunging it into darkness and cutting off the live CCTV feed. At the same time, Han, the girl who recorded the video, sees that the back door of the school is open and sneaks inside. Meanwhile, an agent demands Choi to hand over the student files of the superhumans. Ju-won glances at the other agent standing outside the door. He is so tall that his face is not even visible from inside. Choi, without saying a word, starts searching through his drawer, appearing as if he is looking for the files. Elsewhere, as soon as the lights go out, Gang Hun picks up his bag and leaves the study room, but a man appears in front of him. This man is also a North Korean agent, someone Ju-won had fought years ago. The agent pulls out his phone, compares a photo with Gang Hun, and confirms his identity. Meanwhile, Jae-man starts worrying because Gang Hun has not returned home. His wife, Shin, tells him, "Gang Hun is preparing for the civil service exam, so maybe he's just studying late." To check, Shin calls Gang Hun. Gang Hun answers and says, "I'm still at school." Back in Choi's office, instead of pulling out files, Choi takes out a baton and looks at Ju-won, saying, "You asked me who I am? I'm a teacher." Then he turns to the agents and says, "Only a teacher can access student files." He then shouts, "Get out of this school." Hearing this, the tall agent steps inside. Ju-won glares at him and warns, "If you take one more step, I'll break your legs." Meanwhile, Gi-soo is still searching through Choi's section in the staff room, but doesn't find any files, so he heads outside. There he runs into Jae-ha, who asks, "Were you looking for files inside?" Gi-soo responds, "What's it to you?" and tries to walk away, but Jae-ha grabs him by the throat, stopping him and asks, "What's your superpower?" Elsewhere, Gang Hun is still on the phone with his mom when suddenly an agent jumps at him and strikes him hard. Gang Hun screams in pain, and hearing this, his mom panics and tells Jae-man, "Something happened to Gang Hun." Jae-man asks, "Where is he?" She replies, "He's still at school." Hearing this, Jae-man immediately dashes toward the school. Meanwhile, Gi-soo's screams reach Choi's office. The agent tells them, "Since you won't give us the files, we have no choice. We have to test everyone one by one." Choi swings his baton at the tall agent, but it has no effect, so Ju-won steps forward and starts fighting him. Meanwhile, the cleaner lady reaches the power room and turns the lights back on. She then approaches Mi Hyun, but Mi-hyun pulls out her gun and shoots her straight in the head, killing her instantly. Ju-won tells Choi, "Go help Gi-soo." Then he continues fighting the agents. Elsewhere, Jae-ha keeps beating Gi-soo and taunts, "Why aren't you doing anything? Aren't you a superhuman?" Just then, Choi arrives and starts fighting Jae-ha, but he is no match for him. Gi-soo tries to call the police, but Jae-ha immediately shoots his phone. To protect Gi-soo, Choi tightly hugs him and shouts, "Leave him alone! He doesn't know anything. I'm the one who knows everything." Jae-ha demands Choi to hand over the files. Meanwhile, Ju-won beats up the tall agent. Then he moves toward the other agent, but that agent signals him to stop and answers a phone call. The call is from Jun-hwa, who is currently testing Hui Soo. Jun-hwa informs the agent about Hui Soo. The agent then says, "Check her full potential and report back to me." By then, the tall agent regains consciousness and, using his ability, phases through the wall and brutally attacks Ju-won. The agent then looks at Ju-won and says, "Superhumans don't exist only in South Korea. Our military has an entire unit of superhumans." Meanwhile, Bong Seok and Hui Soo try to fight Jun-hwa together, but Jun-hwa is far more powerful than both of them and defeats them. As a result, Hui Soo loses consciousness. Back in the school, the agent tells Ju-won, "Do you know why we are here? Because of Do-sik. Everything that's happening is because of him." Mi-hyun, who is still in the power room, overhears this. She immediately calls Bong Seok, but his phone is lying outside, so he doesn't answer. So Mi-hyun grabs her gun, removes her glasses, and heads out. Meanwhile, Jae-ha is pointing a gun at Choi and Gi-soo, demanding the files. Suddenly, a bullet grazes his ear. It was Mi-hyun. She had fired at him. Seeing Mi-hyun, Jae-ha starts shooting and hides inside a classroom while continuing to fire at her. Mi-hyun also takes cover in another classroom and shoots back. Then she moves out of her cover, aims from a window, and fires a shot directly at Jae-ha's head, killing him instantly. Choi and Gi-soo, who were hiding, now come out, and Choi thanks Mi-hyun. Choi quickly tells Gi-soo to leave the school immediately. He then picks up Jae-ha's gun and heads in another direction. Gi-soo starts gathering his things to leave when he hears someone's voice. When he checks, he finds Han, the girl who recorded the video, sitting under a table, crying. Seeing him, she starts crying even more and says, "I just came to get my memory card." Gi-soo tells her to be quiet. Then he says, "Things are really weird here. No matter what, we cannot get caught." The agents who had attacked Ju-won assume he is dead and leave the room to search for the files. As they walk toward the stairs, they suddenly see Mi-hyun's reflection in a mirror. She's standing there with her gun aimed at them. One of the agents asks Mi-hyun, "How did you get here? And where are my soldiers?" Mi-hyun calmly replies, "I killed 2 of them." Meanwhile, Bong Seok was trapped in a net while fighting Jun-hwa and was unable to break free. Jun-hwa looks at Bong Seok and says, "You remind me of Do-sik, and I'm guessing he's your father." Back at the school, Mi-hyun asks the agent, "What happened to Do-sik?" Then we see a flashback from 1994, when Do-sik was sent on a secret mission to North Korea. Do-sik infiltrates the North Korean presidential palace, taking down each soldier guarding the premises. As he's about to enter the inner chambers, the same agent, now standing in front of Mi-hyun, tries to stop him, but Do-sik shoots him in the arm and proceeds inside. Once inside, Do-sik points a gun at the supreme leader of North Korea, who was sleeping. However, Do-sik hesitates and ultimately does not pull the trigger. Instead, he walks away. Before this incident, the North Korean general knew nothing about superhumans. Afterward, he summoned this same agent and said, "If such people exist in South Korea, they must exist here too. Find them at any cost." Then we see a scene from 1995, a year later, where the agent has already found several individuals with superpowers. To test them, he orders them to jump off a mountain. One by one, they jump and die. Only Jun-hwa survives, because he has the ability to fly. After this, the agent vows to find more such people. Next, we see a scene from 2003, when the director's men came to capture Do-sik. Do-sik willingly let himself get captured so that Mi-hyun and Bong Seok could escape. Later, Do-sik is brought before the director. The director offers him freedom in exchange for completing one last mission. But Do-sik refuses, so the director threatens him, saying, "If you don't do as I say, I will kill Mi-hyun and Bong Seok." He then adds, "Don't think I can't find them again. If I found you once, I can find them again and kill them." The director further tells Do-sik, "You killed North Korean soldiers. There's a chance North Korea will find you before I do, because they won't stop searching until they get you. Without me, no one can protect you and your family. Then the director tells him, "This will be your final mission." Hearing this, Do-sik agrees. For this mission, Do-sik is once again sent to the North Korean presidential palace. But this time, many superhumans are already there, seemingly waiting for him. Do-sik fights them but ultimately gets captured. The flashback ends, and the agent asks Mi-hyun, "What's your relationship with Do-sik? Are you his wife?" Mi-hyun stays silent, but the agent understands the answer. Then the agent reaches into his pocket, and Mi-hyun quickly notices opening fire on them. The agents shoot back, and Mi-hyun gets shot in the leg but somehow manages to escape. Meanwhile, upon hearing his father's name, Bong Seok tears through the net with his bare hands and charges at Junhwa. Junhwa punches him, but Bong Seok recovers and grabs Junhwa from behind, then calls out to Hui Soo. Hearing his voice, Hui Soo regains consciousness. Now fully recovered, Hui Soo picks up a ball and prepares herself. Bong Seok holds on to Junhwa and moves closer to Hui Soo. Hui Soo then throws the ball with all her strength, hitting Junhwa hard. Junhwa is thrown back and crashes to the ground, losing consciousness. Meanwhile, an agent is beating Gang-hun. At first, Gang-hun does not use his powers and simply endures the attacks. But when the agent doesn't stop, Gang-hun unleashes his full strength and starts fighting back. The agents searching for the files arrive at their destination. There, Agent Young Deok sees that Mi-hyun had indeed killed both the cleaner lady and Jeha. Meanwhile, Mi-hyun is losing a lot of blood from her gunshot wound. She then calls the phone she had left in the trash bin earlier. Ju-won, who is now recovering, picks up the call. Bong Seok asks Hui Soo, "Are you okay?" Hui Soo replies, "Yes, I'm fine." Then Bong Seok says to Hui Soo, "I like you." Hearing this, Hui Soo smiles and says, "I like you too." Meanwhile, Agent Young Deok calls Junhwa and urgently tells him to come to the school, saying, "Do-sik's wife has killed 2 of our agents." Bong Seok, using his enhanced hearing ability, overhears this conversation. Junhwa then turns to them and says, "Don't follow me," before leaving. Bong Seok yells, "What the hell is going on?" In response, Junhwa suddenly fires a shot at him. Hui Soo quickly steps in front of Bong Seok and blocks the bullet with her hand. This was exactly what Hui Soo's dad had once done for Bong Seok's mom. Meanwhile, inside the school, Ju-won rushes in to fight Jusk, but Jusk keeps using his power to hurl Ju-won away repeatedly. Elsewhere, there was no way out of the collapsing marble debris, so Gang-hun repeatedly punches the wall until he breaks through it. He then escapes with Choi and Jae-man. Then we see Bong Seok and Hui Soo again. Hui Soo says to Bong Seok, "Fly quickly and help your mom. I'll catch up from behind." Bong Seok does as she says and starts flying toward the school. Meanwhile, inside the school, Jaemin tells Gang-hun, "You get out," and rushes to help Ju-won. Ju-won, who was fighting Jusk, spots Jae-man on the other side of the building and starts running toward Jusk. Just as Jusk is about to launch Ju-won away with his power, Jae-man leaps in and lands a powerful punch, sending Jusk flying. Ju-won thanks Jae-man. Jusk gets up and is about to attack again, but Jae-man starts beating him down with full force. At that moment, Ju-won notices another agent approaching them. Meanwhile, Mi-hyun steps outside and sees an agent lying on the ground. It was the same agent whom Jae-man had thrown out of the window. The agent was about to attack Mi-hyun, but she quickly shoots him first. In the next scene, we see Gai-do driving his bus. Suddenly, Hui Soo appears in front of him. He slams the brakes and asks in shock, "What happened?" Hui Soo doesn't answer and just says, "I need to get to school quickly." Then she runs toward the school. Seeing Hui Soo's condition, Gai-do realizes something is wrong at the school. So he turns his bus around and heads toward the school as well. Meanwhile, Ju-won and the agent are fighting. And this time, the agent is overpowering Ju-won. Ju-won injures the agent and then comes to fight Jusk. But Jae-man is far stronger than Jusk. At that moment, Jusk raises his hand to attack, but since Jae-man had already broken one of his arms, he is unable to do so. Jusk then jumps out of the window, and as he lands, it causes a shockwave like an earthquake, bringing down the entire building. At that moment, a rod pierces through Ju-won's body. Despite this, Ju-won manages to grab Jae-man with one hand. Then, using the same hand, throws Jae-man onto the rooftop and tells him, "You need to go to Gang-hun." Jae-man, with one powerful jump, reaches Gang-hun and tells him, "We should go home now." Meanwhile, Ju-won struggles to pull the rod out of his body and slowly starts climbing up. Just then, someone shoots him from the air, and the bullet hits his eye. It was Junhwa. Junhwa is about to shoot Ju-won again, but before he can, Mi Hyeon shoots from below and the bullet grazes Junhwa's ear. Seeing Mi Hyeon, Junhwa now starts shooting at her. Hui Soo runs and hides after avoiding Junhwa's shots. Meanwhile, Agent Young Deok is trying to rescue Jusk, who is trapped under the marble debris. Jusk tells him, "Go, live your life the way a human should." Right after saying this, Jusk dies. Young Deok breaks down, crying loudly. Back to Mi Hyun, who uses her ability to locate Junhwa. She shoots at him, hitting him in the hand. Both start firing at each other while dodging, but Mi Hyeon soon runs out of bullets. Junhwa realizes this and rushes toward her, ready to shoot. But before he can fire, Bong Seok flies in, grabs Junhwa and shouts, "Stay away from my mom." Bong Seok and Junhwa begin fighting mid-air, while Mi Hyeon, seeing her son, panics and runs toward the school rooftop. At the same time, Gae-do sees Bong Seok fighting someone in the air and drives his bus full speed into the school. Seeing the bus, Junhwa grabs Bong Seok and flies toward it. Gae-do quickly swerves and manages to rescue Bong Seok, but in doing so, his bus flips over. Meanwhile, Ju-won is still suffering from the bullet wound in his eye. Determined, he reaches up and rips out his entire eyeball with his hand. Elsewhere, Junhwa flies back toward Bong Seok, ready to shoot him. At the same time, Mi Hyun reaches the rooftop where Agent Young Deok is watching everything unfold. She points her gun at him and yells at Junhwa, "Drop your gun." Agent Young Deok also raises his gun and points it at Mi Hyeon. Just as Junhwa is about to shoot Bong Seok, Gae-do absorbs electricity from the bus and unleashes a powerful electrical blast at Junhwa. The attack is so strong that Junhwa crashes onto the school rooftop. Bong Seok sees that Gae-do was the one who saved him. Seeing Junhwa's condition, Agent Young Deok tells him to retreat. Junhwa then leaves the scene. Young Deok, knowing that Mi Hyun's gun is empty, turns to Ju-won and shoots him multiple times. Bong Seok also starts moving toward Young Deok. The agent points his gun at Bong Seok but does not shoot. We then see a flashback of when Young Deok was first assigned to this mission. He was never ordered to kill children. This is why he does not shoot Bong Seok. Instead, he removes his finger from the trigger. Seeing the opportunity, Mi Hyeon knocks the gun out of his hand. Ju-won starts attacking Young Deok. The agent says, "This cycle should end with our generation. The next generation should not have to suffer." He then attempts to jump off the rooftop, but Ju-won grabs him. At that moment, Mi Hyun asks him about Sik. Young Deok stays silent. We then see another flashback. When the North Korean general was preparing a mission against South Korea, Young Deok was unhappy. He told the general, "This has been happening for the last 50 years. Sometimes we send people there, sometimes they send people here. And in the end, innocent people die." The general responded, "Some sacrifices cannot be avoided." Angrily, Young Deok shouted, "The ones forcing these sacrifices are the real villains." Back in the present, Young Deok looks at Ju-won and Mi Hyun one last time. Then, he lets go of Ju-won's hand and falls to his death. Outside the school, police officers have arrived. Hui Soo also comes running toward the scene. Bong Seok tells his mom to get on his back. At that moment, Mi Hyun remembers how she used to carry Bong Seok on her back when he was little. Then Bong Seok flies away with Mi Hyun. Ju-won watches them leave. Then he sees Hui Soo, who has now entered the school and is walking toward him. In his mind, he thinks, "My daughter has grown up so well." A few months later, it was the graduation ceremony at the school. Everyone was there, except for Bong Seok. Choi made sure to reserve a place for him. Ever since Bong Seok had flown away with his mother, no one had heard from him. Hui Soo and Gang Hoon also attended the ceremony. Hui Soo deeply missed Bong Seok and reminisced about their moments together. Then we see Choi handing over all the files to Ju-won. He tells him, "Get rid of these files. We don't need them anymore." Next, we see that Gang Hun has now started working for the government. His father's criminal charges have also been cleared. Meanwhile, Ju-won is seen walking out of a hotel. In reality, he had just assassinated Principal Ray Hyok. Ray Hyok was the one who had been tracking and recruiting children with special powers. Then, we see a scene in North Korea. Agent Young Deok informs the general that all their soldiers have been killed. The general asks him about the files. Hearing this, Young Deok becomes furious because the general still wants to continue the war. In his rage, Young Deok shoots and kills the general. Young Deok then goes to the prison where Sik has been locked up for years. He frees him. Sik immediately heads to the director's office and kills him. Meanwhile, Ju-won is now working at a restaurant. Hui Soo is also there. At that moment, she glances at the TV, which is showing news about a mysterious boy who saved people from a burning high-rise building by flying. The boy was wearing a yellow raincoat. Seeing this, Hui Soo instantly realizes that the boy in the raincoat is Bong Seok. She becomes overwhelmed with happiness. Next, we see Sik flying over rooftops, scanning each one carefully. Then, on one rooftop, he spots a purple cloth. He immediately flies toward it. Mian had once told him that her favorite color was purple. Perhaps she had placed it there as a signal for him. As soon as Sik lands on the rooftop, Bong Seok and Mian also arrive. Seeing them, Sik becomes emotional. Bong Seok and Mian also get teary-eyed upon seeing him. Finally, we see Frank. He had survived his fight with Ju-won. He enters a club, the same club where his mother used to sing before agents took him away. Frank starts working there again, and with this, the drama comes to an end.